How Long Gone. Jason Stewart is with me. It's a beautiful 75-degree fall day in Atlanta. The leaves are falling. I'm amped up. I've just had a coffee. I did Barry's boot camp this morning.
Business as usual over there, huh?
That's right. Country Chris is back on his BS. How are you feeling, TJ?
Not bad at all. Had a nice little meal yesterday in Beverly Hills. I went to a place called Matu with friend of the show, Emily Oberg.
That sounds like a hot chick, but it's actually a restaurant?
So you think Matu is the name of a hot chick? I like that, Chris.
I mean, not a hot chick that would want to talk to me, but yeah, like a hot.
Well, that goes kind of without saying.
Okay, I understand. So what is now? This is a beef forward.
So I'll set this. I'll set this. Basically, it's a restaurant in Beverly Hills, like right in the heart of Beverly Hills, like
I'm in.
Whatever, 2 minutes away from the new Erewhon, it's right in the zone, and it's a wagyu beef restaurant. So I hear wagyu beef, and I hear Beverly Hills, and then the next logical step is cha-ching, because like a wagyu steak costs like $200, like at the store.
I hope Emily Oberg accepts Cash App. Were you able to kind of come up with your portion when the meal was done?
I was able to come up. Yeah, we were like, do you want the receipt, Emily? To write it off, and she's like, I mean, it only has 3 digits in it. I'm really kind of
yeah. This meal was actually pretty cheap, guys. So I'm good.
But so it was basically like, okay, so this is a restaurant that sells.
So this is a restaurant,
pretty affordable wagyu beef, which is a flag, because it's known for costing hundreds of dollars. If you get the good stuff, it's in Beverly Hills. Everything is leading up to being overpriced, but you can get like a 4-course meal for like $70 a person or something like that.
Wow.
which is remarkably affordable.
But is the marbling off the charts, or is the marbling looking weak?
It wasn't the best marbled wagyu that's ever touched these big brown lips, but it was pretty good. Like it in terms of like a 12-ounce wagyu ribeye steak, it was cooked perfectly.
I mean, yeah,
it's a little salt on the side. So I'm wondering, like, what is the catch? Why is this happening? I don't understand it, and I found out very quickly why all of this was happening and what the catch was. It's owned by Sugarfish.
The kings of affordable luxury in the food space.
Yeah.
So did your wagyu come in a kind of like a white box, or was it on a plate?
It was plated, but it's plated for efficiency.
Okay.
A little bit more than fun and flavor. So they just kind of, it's like a little, and here's your next course, and here's
Sure.
And you get it's much worse with sushi, which is why I think Sugarfish is terrible, because that's like a raw food that's hopefully was just sliced seconds ago. If it's good sushi, and Sugarfish, they just sliced it days ago, and it's been sitting in the back next to the dishwasher.
That is not true.
I'm exaggerating, but
true.
It's not alive is my problem, and it was better with the beef, but still I felt hoodwinked having to give the Sugarfish people my money.
How much was the valet?
Valet was $13. Valet people are the only ones who are keeping the cash system alive, really. It's a matter of time until they're fucked. And also at the Matu place, and speaking of efficiency, You hand them the card, and then they bring you back a receipt. No signature, no tipping required. It's just like boom, and it's done. 18% added to it.
That's nice.
Which is nice. They didn't do 20. So there's some parts of it that I was really into, but that's not my style of eating.
I went to explore some new stuff in Atlanta as well. And I would love to talk to you about it if you don't mind, if you could kind of.
Yeah, I mean, how fluffy were the biscuits? What's going on?
I wish it was a biscuit story, goddammit, but no. So friend of the show, Ben Gibbard, was in town with Death Cab for Cutie, his band. So we went to Al and I went to the show, and he's like, "Oh, it's at the Roxy. You guys, if you want to bring your whole family, please do. We don't have any friends here. It's no big deal. I got you." So no problem. The Roxy. Oh, I remember going to the Roxy. It's right there in Buckhead, centrally located. No problem. Day of the show, I'm just checking some stuff out, getting prepared for our night on the town.
Checking Dark Sky and stuff like that.
Exactly. I find out that the Coca-Cola Roxy has now moved to the suburbs, and it's located directly next to the Braves baseball stadium.
Bummer.
In a development they call the Battery, that is basically a fake New York like live work. So there are people in this town that pay to live in an apartment that you can see a baseball stadium from.
Oh yeah.
And you can like walk there to the baseball stadium. So the Coca-Cola Roxy is in that same that same development. So I got there and it's like, parking garage nightmare. It's like you got to walk past all these fucking brew pubs and like corny ass stores. And then we get to the venue. Venue is nice size, 3,500.
Not bad, Benny boy.
It feels like a fucking Disney venue. Like everything is so
I was just
new.
going to say, this sounds exactly like every venue in Orange County that I grew up going to. You go to the House of Blues for a show.
Yeah.
And it's in Disneyland, basically.
It's that House of
like
Blues
you park
is
in a mall parking lot and go.
That's what this is, which in Atlanta I hadn't experienced before, and I was just put off by the whole experience. But I wanted to tell Ben, we were talking about Ben's running, which you talked about on the show. He's like, my coach and I have been working because I'm doing this race, and if I understood it correctly, and I believe I did, he told me that he's going to run 100 miles around a 1 mile gravel track. So that is, he's going to go in a circle 100 times. And I said, bro, are you good? And he said, no, I'm not good.
So they didn't clean up the Balenciaga runway yet, and he's just going to go tear ass on that thing for 100 laps?
He's doing 100 laps, and this is just, and I'm like, are you, and he's talking to me about like, it was actually pretty interesting. He's talking about hydration and what he's like, I've been eating a lot of gummy bears.
Okay, same.
It's kind of the perfect food when you're at, because it's like, it doesn't fill you up too much, but it's got sugar, which keeps you satiated, and like the jelly format is like the perfect thing to ingest.
Look, I mean, if anyone, Ben Gibbard, what do you think his body fat percentage is?
It's very low for, it's
10%, something like that.
It's very low for a guy with that many fucking Telecasters. I'll tell you that.
To hear a guy who has 10% body fat saying, gummy bears are the perfect food. That gives a lot of people hope out there listening right now.
You're right.
They're like, damn, bro, he's an ultra marathon runner, and he said it's the perfect food. My thoughts exactly.
This guy's a winner.
You have to, of course, get a nice Haribo grass fed. You can't do the cheap shit, but
no, of course not. He's probably importing from Japan. He's probably importing him straight from Japan.
That's crazy.
Also,
man.
We were backstage talking. I'm like, damn, bro, you got 2 buses, and I'm like, I look over and I'm like, I'm sorry, big dog, you got 2 tractor trailers. And then they go on stage and they have this like very elaborate, nice light show. So it was worth it all, the drive to Cobb County. But it was it made me look at Haribo in a whole new light. That's what I'm saying. That's really the major takeaway. He sounded great, but
all things considered, he sounded great. I think the thought of running 100 miles on a gravel track. 1 mile 100 times over and over again. It's almost like this sadistic mental kind of torturous situation. Like it's by design to be even more like a different kind of horny suffering compared to a normal, just like, oh, I'm just going to run this ultra marathon.
Yeah, it's
but at least the scenery changes, and they're like, nope. You're in solitary. It's like going to the hole when you're in jail.
It's cool. I'm really into the mental challenge of all. Like, I'm very impressed by the whole thing. Like, obviously it's psycho, but also like it really is a feat of the human condition.
I think you're impressed by it, but I don't know if you are personally into it.
I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. But I am impressed by it. And any athletic feat of that measure by a person that's not their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like his hobby.
Well, it's not his job, but his hobby is also staying alive, and a person like him who is a psycho, this is how he has to stay alive. And I'm not talking about in terms of like getting his cholesterol down because he's jogging more. I mean, like if he doesn't run 100 times on a gravel pit.
Yeah, that's right. Things can go sideways quickly.
Things can go sideways, bro.
Well, that's but I've got many more. I've got a lot of rocking to do this week, so I'm kind of trying to save up my energy, Yeah,
me too. I'm fucking DJing tonight.
That's right.
I'm rocking the crowd with friend of the show, one of the guests of all the How Long Gone guests, probably in the bottom 5% of liking us as people. DJ Benji B and Them Jeans mixing it up tonight.
DJ Them Jeans and DJ Benji B back to back tonight at the Astor Hotel opening. Thanks to our friends at Purple PR and Jason. I just want to ask, who kind of negotiated this deal for you? Who kind of was your representative during this whole procedure?
It was one of the guys over at the booking agency. I don't know one of the kids over there. He knows someone. I don't know, but I forgot his name. Do you remember his name?
I don't. I try not to remember assistants' names.
He's a rock star, dude. He's been killing it lately. I forgot his name though.
Bro, you've been a damn rock star. But I'm upset that I'm missing this. Not only because I'm a hard-nosed negotiator, but also because I think that you have to rinse Benji B. You have to absolutely destroy him for you to walk out of there with your chest high, and I think that's the goal.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, if Benji didn't like me when we podcasted for an hour, just wait until he hears the 5 tracks that I play right before he goes on at 11, where he's about to mix in some tasteful world music house grooves, and I'm playing Zed featuring Fox's Clarity.
No, you're going to come through.
Or I'm playing Calvin Harris Summer.
No. I've already hit Lil Yachty, and I am going to get his Poland. I'm getting the full version for you to drop tonight. It's going to be a worldwide exclusive.
BBC Radio 1 exclusive. That's the new Yachty song where he sounds... What does he sound?
He sounds like
Grimes fishing out.
Yeah, exactly. Grimes fishing out on autotune somehow all at the same time. But I want you. I need you and Benji. I need a full report. I need to have a man on the inside who's like a DJ expert to let me know kind of
a tale of the tape is what they call that.
I need it. Yeah. If you want to set up a kind of a hidden cam style versus. That would be great for me. But I'm sure Benji is bringing the heat all the way to Hollywood and Vine tonight. But he'll be no match for hometown Titan TJ them jeans.
Sure, he's a famous DJ, whatever, playing for decades, blah 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 blah. But like you just said, hometown advantage is what I've got. He doesn't know what's going to hit him.
And if he thinks he can just come play a little YG and that's going to spook you, he's fucking wrong.
This ain't the do-over, Queen.
TJ ain't going to be shaking in his Timbs tonight if you play a little YG. Little Ice Cube, you think you're cute? He'll probably go old school, you know what I mean? Because he's an older guy. We do have a guest today, all the way from London.
He's like probably younger than us.
Issy Wood is an artist, a figurative painter, and a musician as well. Her newest LP, My Body, Your Choice, incredible title, is out now. She had a great New York Times profile from friend of the show, Joe Coscarelli, a few months back, and we have a lot of friends in common with her.
The art is bomb too.
The art is bomb. I really like the art. I'm looking to commission. I think I'd like to commission something from her, kind of a portrait of you in her style. I think would be very
Well,
very
maybe
cool.
Once if our Ethereum goes back up, you might be able to afford it. But right now, I don't know.
I definitely won't be able to afford it. But let's cross the fucking pond and have a chat with her right now.
Banging.
You sound great. You have Caitlin told me you have a microphone as well as headphones, so you're the most prepared guest we've ever had.
Well, because I record all my music in my kitchen, and I'm just in my kitchen, so.
Okay, so you're a true bedroom artist. You're using your Le Creuset kind of to do your drum patterns?
The Le Creuset is near me when I'm for kind of moral support. I have a whole set.
So, Izzy, you said you record all of your music in your kitchen as well as your podcast appearances. Have you done anything like acoustically to that kitchen to make it sound better, like a recording studio, or is it just going in regular kitchen style?
No, it's just a normal. I've slowly upgraded. The story of my life is just like waiting for men to tell me when to upgrade my music equipment. And
sure. Damn, you sound like all my ex-girlfriends.
Yeah. Well, men love to talk about music equipment. It's one of their favorites. Even if they're not musical in any way, they somehow know which interface to get.
I would like to
digital interface.
I would like to combat that. I hate equipment and I prefer to be a Luddite, but I know I'm an outlier.
No, Chris, she said straight men.
Oh yeah, no, the gays have never advised me on anything. I've more been slowly upgrading my equipment rather than the room that it's in, which is it's mainly a kitchen and not a music studio.
Sure.
Are you sick in the kitchen as well as a baker or any other culinary arts? Or
weirdly, I cooked for Caitlin Phillips, who last night she's in town because she's fallen really hard for an Englishman. And
I was catching that on her Instagram stories, but I didn't want to confront her. I didn't want to confront her, so I'm glad we're doing it on the air. I think that's better.
I think that's actually much more tasteful.
I agree. I agree.
And I think a British person can read another British person in a way that an American never can. And so I was semi-tasked with sussing him out a little bit, but I cooked for a bunch of like my inner circle here, and then Caitlin and a couple of other Americans, and I realized I'm a cook, not a baker.
Okay, so because I followed you on Instagram and I was seeing some of your handiwork, but the camera work I wasn't able to get like a beauty shot to kind of understand the menu. So if you could just walk us through, that'd be great.
I can just take you. Well, what I've done is have
you dined with us before?
Some had dined with me before, but no, I did. I went like full kind of autumn is closing in England, and I made chicken pie. I made like a vegetarian tart for the one vegetarian because I love him. I did a kohlrabi salad with capers, which is inspired by the best salad ever, which is at St. John restaurant in London. And it's the only reason I bought a mandolin, but it was money well spent.
Sure. Love that restaurant.
I did this Swedish dish that's called Janssen's Temptation, which is kind of like...
In B minor?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that does sound like more of a symphony. Maybe it's a symphony in the mouth, though. How did it go?
I think it's pretty bomb. I usually don't tell anyone that it has anchovies in it because I never know how people feel about that. But it's like a potato gratin, milk, cream, and then anchovies are like the secret to it tasting amazing.
Okay, look, when you list out the ingredients, it does sound a little bit like a tummy ache waiting to happen, but I think that maybe your presentation would lead me to still have a bite.
I would advise you to try it before you judge this dish. But no, my dad used to make it a lot when we were growing up, and so I'm almost over familiar with making it, and it's a great side. Only for winter months, it's too much for summer. But of course, decidedly getting to be winter here. And
what was now? Did you do a wine pairing? Was this a cocktail kind of situation?
Well, I'm sober, so I have like a strict BYOB policy. I did a Diet Coke pairing.
Okay. Great.
Which in the 2022 Diet Coke is drinking very well, actually, at the moment.
So you're saying it opens up nicely when you kind of pour it over ice?
Yeah, it's like Drano for the palate. So you just kind of start from fresh with every bite.
The palate isn't cleansed. It's
eviscerated.
Okay. The palate is it's eviscerated. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are a Diet Coke drinker. You will admit that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you thought that the formula of Diet Coke has changed over the years, or do you think it's the same the entire time? Because I feel like it changes and gets worse as time progresses.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, in the US, it always tastes better, and I don't know if that's like a farm to table feeling that I have about it being made in the country. It's like a local delicacy, but. I mean, in Europe, the thing they call Coca-Cola Light is garbage, in my opinion.
Interesting.
And should be taken immediately from the Coca-Cola umbrella.
It's rare that you hear that the American version of a food item is better. So that makes me feel good. Unfortunately, it's Diet Coke.
Well, it just has to be pure poison, and then of course the Americans do it better. Like.
Sure. I'm also sober, but I always feel inclined to spend kind of. Not a large amount of money, but substantial amount on bringing wine, and I kind of get off on that, even though I'm not going to drink it. But I think that your policy sounds better.
Well, I can't. It's unclear after 6 years, but I don't love the idea of testing myself with a bottle of wine in the house.
I see.
So it's BYOB, but it's also like TYOB, which is like take your own booze, because I don't want to I don't want to keep it in the house. But I could understand wanting the proximity of almost LARPing as someone who buys and drinks wine, of just being close to the alcohol in that way. But I would have drunk fucking windscreen wiper cleaner. I would have. I lost my sophisticated taste like in the blink of an eye. So. I can't really be trusted.
I don't necessarily know anything about it either, but I like the experience of going to the store and because the employees at the store want you to come in with an idea of what you want, and then they want to kind of destroy that idea and blow your third eye open. And when I tell them I don't care, I don't drink, they really have a hard time. It kind of puts them on their ass a little bit, and they don't know how to handle me.
Yeah.
And I like that feeling because they're dorks.
Well, I mean, that sounds like visiting an art gallery, that experience. But
that's true. That's true.
Well, I mean, try getting sober in the UK, where people take it as a personal slight when you get sober. They say, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, I was going to. Yeah, I would say that your culture is more drinking centric.
It's extraordinary.
Sure.
I think it's the only way that the average Brit can access his or her emotions, or like can get really earnest. And, you know, there are certain things that you talk about your family only when you're all wasted.
It's not a perfect plan, but it works.
Yeah. I mean, my getting sober was, to my family, considered saying no to any kind of deep conversation, which I'm more than willing to have because, you know, I did rehab and I saw all manner of repressed Brits open up.
What is the culture now? This sober culture there, because it's very, you know, it's having a because I'm looking at about 6 years myself. We're on the similar timeline.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and same to you. But I think that the you know, here it's quite cool now. Like it's a trend, I would say, to like not drink, and even to go as far as to be sober, which I feel like is something that would never be able to take hold in the UK.
Well, I think there's not drinking, and then there's like being a sober person and being in
sure.
Which are two kind of identity. I think British people are suspicious of all of them. I think they can maybe understand it more if they personally have seen you in hell with alcohol, and it's very, very clear that even by British standards, you can't. You go too far, which is a very high bar. And then I think people are slightly more understanding, but they do, you know, my oldest sort of British friends, like they don't know what to do with me after like 6 p.m. They're like, we can't really go. I'm more than happy to go to a pub, but I don't think they think it's fun if I'm sat there with like a lime soda.
Yeah, that's not. I understand. I find pubs to be. I just don't. It's not my scene. You know, I prefer to sit in like a high-end hotel lobby while people drink. That feels comfortable to me. I think the kind of the dive bar pub kind of situation is really unappealing unless you're like on coke.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really understand. I don't really have those romantic feelings about those kind of places.
I mean, I do just from growing up here. That's like where I first made out with someone. You know, it's just a thing. But now I either don't go or I have to develop some kind of passion for darts. So there's just something to do so that I'm not, or I like man the jukebox or something.
It would be cool if you got very good at darts. That's like a nice.
It would be kind of great.
A nice idea.
Another string for my bow.
Izzy, you mentioned, you know, family members and people needing alcohol to open up, and you seem like a pretty open book. Is that something that wasn't the case prior to your sobriety? Seems like you're down for a deep chat.
Oh my God, only exclusively.
But have you always been that way, or did it take sobriety and transcendental meditation to get there?
That did help, and then I've been in therapy since age 11, I want to say, because of a crazy eating disorder that is a recurring character in my life, and so through total necessity, I was put in therapy in a way that no one else in my family had ever been before. And so I feel like I learned a different language to them but I do my family a disservice. They're not the worst of the families in the UK that I've met in terms of like drinking in order to function or drinking in order to talk.
Sure.
Both my grandmas are extremely, extremely good at having a deep conversation within reason. But being in therapy and going to rehab and having just non-negotiable demons, which I guess a couple of generations ago in my family would have been called like a case of the blues or a case
bit dreary,
a case of the doldrums.
Yes.
Or he wasn't quite right and then he killed himself. Yeah.
Oh well.
So there is definitely there's some issues to be sorted out, but my parents are both like medical doctors, physicians, and so there's a very, very, very sort of hard line between physical and mental health, and they think they're better than any psychiatrist.
Western medicine is the way, and your Eastern practices, we care not for them, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, the Eastern. I mean, if you're talking about TM, like that came way later, but it does feel. I mean, it's delicious, like to rebel in that way.
Interesting, because I always thought doctors made fun of dentists.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Because like that's like fake shit. But you're saying they also the kind of therapist mental health side of things is like that's cute for you guys, but we save lives over here. Is that the attitude?
I mean, my experience of having doctor parents is they were always like remarkably unimpressed by any ailment that I could bring to them, like short of internal bleeding. They just weren't really interested. Doctors in the UK, I guess my parents both work for the NHS, which is like a socialist project.
Yeah.
Which I worry is crumbling. They're retiring at probably the right time because it's not looking good. It's looking very American. Slowly and slowly.
Okay, calm down. Okay, we love paying for our healthcare out of pocket. That's kind of our culture.
Yeah, it's your favorite.
And I'm not going to let you attack me going bankrupt if I break my arm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm saying is we're not really going to have a leg to stand on for much longer. But my parents work for this socialist project, and so they already thought that they were better than any private doctors in the UK. They thought that was garbage. And then mental health was for people who are
pussies,
maybe bored and have done a bit too much looking inwards because they don't have a lot going on in their life. Dentists, there was never much hatred towards dentists. My dad had an affair with our dentist.
So cool.
Well, that kind of explains that.
Yeah, but there were attacks on her character, but not on her profession. And I continued to see her well into 2016.
Really?
Oh yeah. She definitely wasn't my mom's dentist after that, but or my brother's. But I kept seeing her because she
the work was just too good.
The bitch could clean a tooth
so well. She knew how to handle she knew all my history, and But then I went to her in 2016 and she told me that she'd voted for Brexit and how thrilled she was that we'd left the European Union. And I was like, I can't see this bitch anymore.
So you're saying that was the straw that broke the camel's back?
That is where I draw the line.
Ruin my family? Fine.
You can have as much extramarital sex with my dad as you want, but if you want to leave the EU, then we can't work together.
How did your parents' relationship survive this adultery, or did they divorce afterwards?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It was kind of the writing was on the wall for a really long time, to the point where I noticed it as a kid. But yeah, my dad has a problem, and that's where therapy could really come in handy, I think.
But does he consider himself to be not only above it, but maybe like too old for it? Is that a possibility as well?
Yeah, I guess being too old and above it go hand in hand. It's not how things were done in his day, kind of thing. I mean, I say his day, like he's like 60 years old. He's not.
What is now? Who are you closer with? Your mother or your father?
God, this is my issue with deep chats. I have not spoken to my father for as long as I've been sober. So it's close, but I am closer with my mom.
It's close.
It's almost a draw.
Now is this something that you are choosing or he is choosing, or is this something that's kind of happened?
There wasn't anything really dramatic. Like I wish I could point to some enormous betrayal on either of our parts, but I think I became an adult and we're like, I don't think we like hanging out as much as we used to. And, something about being a daughter and feeling like you play second fiddle to the many women in this dude's life. I just started seeing him as a dude. Like he was just
you grew up.
He was just some gentleman who, who really loves foraging for mushrooms and also women. So
your dad is he's a stick man. He chases skirts, as they say.
He's what you would call in the UK a top shagger.
A top shagger.
Yeah.
He's after the clunge.
Okay.
Yeah, he's fiending for minge.
A poon hound in the minge department. Okay, so and mushrooms as well. Mushrooms as well. Have you picked up the foraging bug also?
No, I'm more interested in the foraging within.
That's what we do. That's what this podcast is all about. We're just foraging the insides.
It's the foraging within.
You kind of have to.
Yeah, this is where we're at as a society. I feel like I think young people, younger than us, I know you're younger than Jason and I, but like even younger, I think they are doing too much inward gazing. I believe that is a thing that can happen.
I think that could be true. It's inward gazing with a view to what? Like if it's a view to become a borderline personality disorder influencer on Instagram, then that is probably not.
I just mean that I think there's like a just like a self-indulgence kind of always doing that and having the luxury of doing that. Whereas I don't know if other people.
Dad?
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah. I want to reconnect.
After all this time?
I want to reconnect.
Because looking inside is free. It's not a luxury.
Yeah.
No, but I think that it's turned into a little bit of a, like, I can't do anything else but that. Preoccupation is the issue, not the actual,
which is bad of,
thing itself.
Yeah. And that's bad in any venture.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree.
You're looking so inward that you forget to brush your teeth or return phone calls and things like that.
Oh yeah, no, that's.
Well, I would never forget to post, obviously, or my clients would kind of not pay me. So that's the problem.
Or even worse,
if you're posting instead of brushing your teeth, that's a clear cry for help.
In terms of mental health, looking inward, deep gazing on the inside, and sobriety, where do you stand, or how do you feel about like ketamine therapy?
I mean, it has this weird. There's some like Venn diagram of like the help I could get from ketamine versus like potential of liking it too much because I'm a sober person.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of friends who've done DMT therapy and I understand. I mean, it's difficult because like ketamine was such a big part of my adolescence and like especially my art school days, and to me it will always be like a recreational drug. It would be hard to
see it differently.
Yeah, it's different over there in the UK, I guess, where ketamine just comes out of the faucet.
It sure does. Yeah, I am always very suspicious of the, where I start to harbor fantasies of going to South America and doing peyote or ayahuasca, or I can feel my brain. It's being seduced by the idea of a quick fix or like a one-time thing.
Right.
The more boring answer is that it's just ongoing maintenance. It's like meditating twice a day, every day, whether I want to or not. In a kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it attitude. Like, that's good enough for me right now. That and a couple of antidepressants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it scares me a little bit, the ketamine. I mean, because I worry it would almost feel familiar from when I did ketamine in a dorm toilet and no one could reach me for what I assume was 2 hours, and I couldn't let myself out. I was too scared.
Wow.
And also, like, if people say like, "Oh, but a physician is present." I'm like, but that's just my parents. That's going to make everything far worse. It's like I would like be watching them to see if they're like rolling my eyes about what I'm talking about, and that's deeply triggering in not a therapeutic way.
You paint a very good but very dark picture with that scene.
Maybe if I got a little more desperate, I would look into it. I'm fascinated by all that stuff. I think medicine is incredibly limited the way it is right now, and
I think I'm fascinated with it to an extent, but if you live in Los Angeles, it becomes a little bit of an eye roll.
Oh God,
because of what it's become. And I think that I've talked to some friends and they use these words like I've never heard before. Like, I'm going to a circle tonight.
Oh, what's that?
I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Better be a drum circle.
I really hope.
I wish it would be better. It's no. It's literally like, you like people are doing like ayahuasca, led by a, quote unquote doctor, in like a house in Beverly Hills.
We're going to lay around Diplo's foyer.
Yeah.
And play some ambient tunes on the CDJs.
That sounds awful.
Well, come up to Topanga anytime and we can do it. But no, I mean, I think that kind of stuff, it feels extremely like Los Angeles centric, even though I'm sure it happens other places. But I think the casualness of it and the way that it sucks in seemingly very normal people who are searching and searching and searching in a way that it's almost like they're looking for religion or something. Like that magnetic draw feels...
That's been LA for decades though,
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
The draw in the circle is in your friend being able to say, "Oh, I'm actually just going to a circle tonight."
Yeah.
And there's some, that feels like appealing to be able to tell someone like I'm just from 7 p.m. I'm going to be reaching a higher plane. So
yeah,
if you text me, I may not reply.
From 7 p.m. I'm going to be sweating and throwing up on a blanket. And just don't try to text.
Yeah, I guess it's not that chic to say like, oh, tonight I can't hang out. I'm going to go roll around on the ground and do hard drugs at my friend's house. You can't really just say that.
It's more grown up. It's more grown up to pay.
Yes.
To go somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, I love paying.
It makes you feel good when you pay. But you do hear, I remember, because I'm a big fan of Gabor Mate, and he's an amazing like addiction therapist, a doctor, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And he is a big advocate of psychedelic experiences when very carefully done. And I remember him saying on some podcast or other while I was painting, like, that there are some of these doctor shaman type guys who like sexually abuse people while they're in the lowest point of their trip. And it's like, you have to be really careful with that stuff.
Oh, I'm not surprised by that at all. It's the dark arts.
No, I know. I'm not surprised either, but it's shocking. It's
no, it's not great. But I think that's like the yoga. That's like the Bikram thing, and all that stuff came out. That's like the largest scale of that, I feel like, because yoga is the most approachable of something like that people used to think was really weird. And now it's obviously crossed over fully.
Yeah. I'm wearing a shirt actually, right? Just, I thought in case we were videoing, I'm wearing a shirt that says fuck yoga on it.
Okay, so you're not a yoga person.
Does that mean you're against yoga, or that's a style of yoga called fuck yoga?
It's neither. I think in the first Sex and the City movie, Samantha's much younger actor boyfriend, Smith Jarrett, is for no reason in one scene wearing a grey t-shirt that says fuck yoga on it. And it's never mentioned. But he's just wearing it and he's like packing to go and shoot some film or something. And I was like, I'm going to make that shirt. And so I made it. It's one of my favorite shirts.
I didn't take you for a big Sex and the City fan, especially their film releases, which,
oh my God, are you kidding?
I
love it. Like after I've painted all day and I've tortured myself over music for 2 hours. Like all I want to do is just numb my brain. And what better analgesic than especially the movies, because they are so awful.
Yeah, whenever I'm on an airplane.
Spectacularly bad.
I watched the second one where they go to the Middle East.
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, the Abu Dhabi. Every airplane ride, if I see it on there, it's like a thing I just have to do.
The phrase that Samantha says when she meets like a hot guy in Abu Dhabi and she says, Lawrence of my labia. And it will never leave my mind.
That's good writing right there. That's what Hollywood's all about. That's poetic.
It was a different time.
I applaud whoever, whether it was Darren Star or not. Like, who cares? That line's never going to leave me, even if I wanted to.
Did you watch the reboot?
Of course.
On HBO?
Of course.
Okay. And did you have strong feelings?
It didn't have quite the numbing effect that I wanted. It was almost too sad. There were too many emotions in it for me. It was, it felt like sad from like New York isn't how it used to be. And it felt from like our bodies aren't what they used to be and our relationships aren't what they used to be. And I mean, realistic, but that's not why I go to the Sex and the City franchise,
Yeah.
That's not what I'm looking for when I go there.
Really. Yeah, no, I'm good. Don't do this to me, Carrie. God damn it.
Please don't make me prepare for menopause. Don't do this.
I don't want to talk about egg freezing at all. I want to turn that part of my brain off for 45 minutes.
I don't want to talk about egg freezing. I don't want to see all of the disastrous injectables and plastic surgery that you've all had. Like
Charlotte, I think Charlotte looks the worst.
Charlotte, it's a lot. It's a lot.
What? I really want to know, like, if someone in your life, even if they're the breadwinner or famous or powerful, begins to use injectables on that level, is there truly no one that will step in and tell you what's going on? Is that really where these women are at? Is that where this many people are in their lives, where everyone's afraid of them and won't tell them to stop?
I don't know. I think it's like a very potent mix of like of your injectables being a regular, maintenance that's become so entrenched in your life, like doing a grocery shop or something. And then it's also like the face aging around the injectables.
Yeah.
And it's this like, you can just see like the battle of
like a tree growing out of the asphalt,
time taking its natural toll as it's wont to do. And then these desperate dermatological attempts to stop the tide. And I mean, I feel like it's the the fucking dermatologist's responsibility to be like, are you sure you want this? But they're never going to do that.
Well, I think that stuff is so accessible and like kind of considered light. Like it's literally, like you said, it's like getting a car wash.
Right.
I think those guys are like, you're going to buy a pack of 10 today? It's like a subscription.
Yeah, it's cash. Yeah, you want a subscription. Yeah, no, there's an art collector I met for the first time last year who he's both a dermatologist in that he administers injectables and also a psychiatrist. And I was like, is that not a contradiction in terms? Like, what do you do when someone like me, for instance, like shows up with like crippling body dysmorphia and is like, I want a different face. Like, what do you say to that? Do you be like, do you mandate therapy? Or do you just take the money and get the syringes out?
I'm going to say both. Is what my guess is.
Yeah, I guess your therapy, your doctor's oaths cancel each other out for both of your practices. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hell of a. Maybe you take some finder's fee from the shrink that you refer them to. I don't know how your system. I don't know how your system works.
Did he buy any work, or are you guys just friends?
He bought a work last year, and then just kind of from the pandemic, he lives in New York, and I only met him for the first time earlier in the year, but he was still petrified of COVID at that point. And so it was like wearing a mask and taking a bite of food, then wearing a mask and taking a bite of food. It was one of those things. But I know a couple of women I know trade paintings for Botox from him.
Wow.
Who is it?
I don't know who's getting it. I'm not at liberty to say.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know who's getting the better deal there. I have no idea.
I guess it depends on the artist.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I love that.
I love that too. That's a really modern thing.
Well, it's modern, but it's also time honored. Like you hear of like, these old Renaissance guys trading work for a doctor to cure them of syphilis. Like Mark Rothko's dentist had an insane collection of Rothko's. Like, the trade for services is a thing. I try not to do that ever.
Yeah, I feel like once you rise in success and popularity, the amount of objects that you can trade or services that you can trade, if a painting costs $500,000, it's like, yeah, we're going to trade for a house, like what do you do?
Well, yeah. And some of my early, not even trades, but gifts of paintings like from 5 or 6 years ago coming back to haunt me via auctions. So
the painting that sold for $500,000, I'm assuming you didn't make $500,000 on that.
No, of course not. I mean, if it sells in a UK auction house, you get 1% royalty, which is better than nothing, but it's not great.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I didn't even know they gave you that.
But no, a very mentally unwell friend from a while ago, she'd collected birthday cards I'd given her and sold 3 of them.
Wow.
No way.
She got like 26 grand for each one. And I was like, who is buying something that says happy birthday Lauren on the back?
So these are cards, but they're paintings. They're not like cards from Tesco.
They're on this like canvas board, which is really thin.
Okay.
They were like paintings, but they don't look like my work anymore at all. And I just,
what a bittersweet feeling to be like, wow, this fucking bitch took my birthday card and made whatever, 75 grand on that. That sucks, but also like,
yeah.
Wow.
I'm popping.
I'm like, I'm torn. I'm like, I can't believe you walked into Phillips off the street and put these works in there, but also get that bag.
Did you confront her or did you laugh?
I haven't been in touch with her for a really long time. I don't know if she even has a phone. I really think she walked into the auction house and she used to be in the art world, so she kind of knows how things work, but I have no idea. I wish her well because
I see.
I really hope that money goes towards something good.
Some injectables.
Yeah, maybe some injectables.
That's actually I've never heard a story like that, but I feel like as a star rises, this happens to people in all sorts of fields,
Yeah. You've seen Pawn Stars, Chris.
Yeah, I've seen Pawn Stars. That's true.
It's a new frontier for me. It's kind of new. It only started happening, like the auction thing at all only started happening in like this time last year. So
how does that, how do you usually find out about that? Does someone tell you? Do you see it? Like, how do you usually find out about that?
Oh, the auction house, usually, I don't know if it's out of the kindness of their heart or whether I don't know whether it's legally or just like tastefully, they just let the gallery know. They were like, we're so excited to have this work coming up in our evening sale of 20th century, whatever. And then sometimes there was a work that I made in literally school And they said, we can't verify the signature on the back of the canvas. And they showed a photo and it was like some other guy's name. It said like Lewis on the back. And I was like, but that's because when you're at art school, you fucking share canvases. If someone doesn't need something, you take it and you paint on it because you're broke. And so, yeah, this was made in school and now you're selling it. And maybe that's a sign that you shouldn't have it in your evening sale. But they asked for a certificate of authenticity. So I was like, yeah, I've never tried out just like disowning a work and saying like, I've never seen this in my life.
Yeah. What the hell are you talking about? That ain't my name. I never seen this shit once. No, sir.
That baby don't look like me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I really kind of hope some fakes come up at some point. That would really, I feel like that would be the cherry on top of my ego. It's like people just faking my work and then
that's an incredible sign of accomplishment. Do you personally, trade with friends? Are you trying to amass a collection as well, or are you output only?
Yeah. And I buy, like, honestly, since I started making money, like I'll buy something if I really like it. And if I can get it, especially from the other artists on my London galleries roster.
Yeah.
Cause there are a few whose work I'm just crazy about and I've known them for years. And I hate to think in financial terms, but like if you trade with someone really young or someone who you think is awful at art and they want to trade, and I'm like, do I then do it just because it's a financial decision? Or
I mean, I think it's a case by case basis, you know?
Yeah. And I still give a lot of gifts. I've tried to temper it, but I'll definitely like a birthday or wedding gift or something.
I've always heard these great stories about people that were just kind of around, that were like middling artists that you might know, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this person so fucking rich? And then you find out it's like, oh yeah, I just traded. I was with all these guys. I was with them at the time. And now I have more money than I would have ever made off of selling my own work.
Right place, right time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people are part of the new frontier of my work being some, I don't know, hyped entity or something in our very, very small world, which is the art world. But people are resorting to all kinds of weird subterfuge to get access to the work. And I would not put it past some people to pretend to be friends with me for like 3.5 years.
Yeah, I've befriended as an investment in my future.
Yeah, I mean, weirder things have happened. I don't know. I've had like people, you know, trying to date me, and then they say, actually, my brother's been asking for a work for a while. Can you make sure the gallery saw his email?
Damn, it's hard. Being popping sucks. I tell you what, there's some downsides to this stuff. You can't trust anybody.
Yeah, you can't. I can trust the people who were there before.
There you go.
But I'm very. I'm always suspicious of British people. Are always very suspicious of flattery.
Really,
in general, and so if you, oh yeah,
I guess it makes sense.
The word "cunt" is a term of endearment here. Like that should tell you.
British people are freaks, Jason. You know that.
We just but the complimentary way of talking of, oh, you look so good, or you did so well. Yeah, it's just not really it'll make a British person tense up usually.
Do you watch any of the Housewives franchise of programs, or is that not in your wheelhouse?
Yeah, I watched the first couple of seasons of The Real Housewives of New York. Nomi, who you know.
Yes, of course.
Turned me on to Salt Lake City. But I found it, when that woman got arrested by the FBI for some kind of money laundering, I was like, this is actually maybe too depressing.
I only bring it up because the biggest takeaway for me is that every single episode, every single season, no matter what's happening, when they see each other for the first time, all they do is tell each other how good they look.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how much they hate each other, which I find to be like, it's just, it makes me laugh every time. It's so funny.
It's amazing.
It's so
and then
funny.
Watching the smile die down within like 15 seconds as soon as they turn away.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's everybody knows what the deal is, but they all continue to participate in the same way.
I mean, the effort has been put in, but often they look kind of like, they all seem quite manic. I don't know if it's like the eye lift because their eyes look really surprised all the time. And they just look sort of crazed. I don't know, maybe it's Adderall or something.
Oh, I think I'm going to guess all of the above.
Izzy, I wanted to talk about the music world as well as the art world. It seems like you've had more financial success in the art world than the music world. Is that correct to say?
I've had zero financial success in the music world.
Okay, so you've been able to be quite successful in the art world. Music world is a very tough industry for pretty much everyone, even people.
I think I've lost money from the music. I'm like just hoping I break even.
Well, for somebody who has your brain and your kind of unique way of looking at the world, if it was up to you to sort of change the music industry, aside from just having you run it instead of old white guys, what are some ways?
Oh, I shouldn't run it. Let the whites have what they want.
Thank you for that.
We appreciate that.
I think in terms of the way the guys who run the music industry, or at least like some of the ones you hear about or the ones I've met or whatever, the way like what they consider a successful music industry, I mean, they're like job well done. Mm-hmm. Like if it's to harvest as much money and to give as little as possible, then like that's
right.
That's
right.
Well
you
done.
Caught on to us. You caught on to us.
All I would stipulate is just do that artist gallery split, make it 50-50 with the label. I like the optimism of that.
Right. So there's no advances that you have to repay back for 10 years. It's just like, we'll make this money, I'll pay for this, you pay for that. We split this 50-50.
Yeah, you split everything like with art. Like if a really expensive sculpture needs to get made, you normally split 50-50 production costs with your gallery, and it's just everything divided down the middle. I don't know why that's so like radical to.
Yeah, I guess the art world is sort of the only one I can think of offhand that still sort of adheres to those pretty simple, steadfast ways of doing business, right?
I mean, it's so simple. We don't even do contracts. There's something about having lawyers like sort of negotiate this piece of paper that sort of ties you to someone that gives either party permission to behave pretty heinously because you've got this piece of paper. Mm-hmm. It's like the ultimate NFT. It's like, it's this thing, but it doesn't really exist. And I think with art, like, and I am bearing in mind that I've had like an amazing experience. The more I hear about it, the more grateful I feel for my particular path that I've cut through it. But
yeah,
there's like any relationship, like you just every day kind of both people ask themselves, like, do you still want to be in this relationship, work or otherwise? 50-50 is hopefully implies that most people are trying to put in equal amounts of effort, and it shifts slightly. But yeah, without the contracts, it's like the ultimate consent.
Yeah, it corrects itself.
It should, and if you decide to part ways, it's like it's nothing more than a heart to heart, and then you can part ways. I mean, I guess there are drawbacks to that as well, but it was also pretty easy for me to leave my music label. It's like. But it took 8 months to negotiate joining. So
8 months.
That's usually, yeah. If they're not making a lot of
8 months,
if they're not making a lot of money off of you and you really want to leave, it's usually pretty easy to leave.
Yeah,
that's usually how it goes.
I think the email my lawyer got was, "We thought you'd never ask."
8 months. 8 months is honestly like that sounds.
I mean, it was also it was like early pandemic. Everyone was like slow. I mean, people had more free time than ever, so it's kind of shocking. But.
Well, no one wanted to work.
And this was with Mark Ronson, correct?
Yeah, this was with his label Zelig, which was an imprint of Sony, which I found out when it said Sony on the contract.
And not Mark, the guy from Amy Winehouse,
and not Mark. It did not say guy from Amy Winehouse.
It's the idea of an imprint is obviously like it's a little bit cooler, but you still have the budget to market and record like you would if you were on a major. That's
sure, but you also have the Sony legal team panicking about being sued for any kind of like visual copyright infringement, which I found out the hard way with.
Were you doing a lot of stealing?
I made with a friend who's actually the sister of my London gallerist, but that's not important. She does CGI stuff, and we made a music video for this song Debt very early on, like the first release, I think. And it was a CGI game of Monopoly played by like sad, completely naked men. And my face was on all of the pieces. It was really good.
Okay.
And,
okay.
And we bought it to Mark, Sony, Zelig, whatever, Zony. That's what we started calling it after a while.
Zony.
And, and they were like, we're going to get sued by Hasbro. This is not going to work. Like, this lawsuit could be enormous.
Yeah.
And I was like reading I got into like reading Hasbro copyright literature because I was so desperate to like do something about literature. It was like I had downloaded like a 670 page PDF on my phone of like Hasbro how litigious Hasbro have been like historically, and in the end, Sony's legal team, they were like, it's not worth it, and I'm sorry, we're not going to pay for this music video, even though we said we would.
So they have a lot more to lose than you do, so it's not so fun anymore.
Yeah, I don't understand that world. I mean, I like coming from the art world, like you can put any logo on anything in any show, and it's never a conversation. Like
it's considered different. I think legally, it's considered different, which is confusing, of course, especially if you're not a lawyer.
No,
but I mean,
I mean, I don't know whether that conversation or that friction would have happened with an indie label, but I became very aware of the drawbacks of this major label way of doing things, and so I released the video myself and paid for it myself, and thank God I could do that. Otherwise, I would have been destitute. You know.
I wonder. I wonder actually. I wonder if a indie label is like, we're just going to look the other way, or if they're even more paranoid because they have more to lose. Almost, you know. It
was just so alien to me, even having the conversations of like Mark texting me like, we've got some of the finest legal minds working on this case.
And you're just like, why?
I'm like, oh, thank God they are the finest legal minds.
You're like, bro, this is a CGI video of Monopoly.
It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Like, I'm all the pieces. It's my head on a shoe. It's my head on a dog. It's my head on I'm on all the money. I'm on all the money, and all of the property names are the song lyrics to the song. It's like, I was so proud of that music video.
Well, at least it saw the light of day. I mean, that's the bottom line. Yeah. You know, that's the bottom line.
And now that we're talking about it, thousands of people will watch it tomorrow. So that's pretty cool.
I really hope they do.
Cool. We're very popular in Australia and some other countries as well. So just something to think about.
Well, I don't really want Australians watching. So no, that's a fine country. Another member of the Commonwealth. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did you lose any money directly when the Queen died, or were you okay?
No, Caitlin lost some of her sanity though, because one story that she'd placed got they cleared everything out and they pushed this story forward, and allegedly it could have ruined everything. I don't really know how, but
Caitlin loves it. Caitlin's dramatic, and that's what's fun about her.
Oh, I love it.
I'm
dramatic too, I guess. So I'm not dramatic about things I don't understand, which is like what is. How the Financial Times would jeopardize the New York Times.
We literally went through the same thing with her, so I feel a kinship to you right now that I wasn't expecting. I just talked to some friends that lost significant amount of money from the Queen's death, like because they had to close shop. Because it's like, not that it was illegal to be open, but it was like in poor taste, I guess.
Oh,
and it was like, this isn't worth it to like to maybe receive backlash that we can't recover from.
How many local British shopkeepers are you friends with, Chris?
Jason, my name rings bells over there. I have quite a lot of acquaintances that keep local shops in different areas of town, so I can kind of check in.
Yeah,
right.
That's how I know you.
We go to the same
Chippy.
You do the same circle.
The flower market.
And you all transcend together.
Exactly. We transcend together. Exactly.
Yeah. How many days did you take a break from your art after the Queen passed?
Oh, I was in New York. My show in New York opened that day. So I was like, no one cared in New York.
No, we didn't.
I was delighted to be away.
It's the one thing as a full-blown Anglophile, it's a one thing I've never understood is the royal family and the fascination.
I don't understand it either.
People like your peers, there are people that care.
I know very, very few people, very, very, very few young people who give any kind of a fuck. Like, I think it's part of
a different time.
The word colonialism is like thrown around now amongst young people, which it maybe wasn't in my grandparents' generation. But it's also confusing because to be someone who doesn't approve of or care about the royals you're called a Republican, which is extremely confusing to me.
Yes, it is.
Because I vote in the US, and so I'm like, I am a Republican, but not in North Carolina where I vote.
I knew I liked you. Why do you vote in North Carolina?
Because my dad got some kind of surgical residency at Duke University Hospital, and because they pay doctors so obscenely well over there, he was thrilled to take it, and my mom got knocked up in 1993, and I got born on American soil.
God bless you. I knew. See, I feel it. Yeah, I knew.
I have both passports. I pay taxes. I do the whole thing.
Is it worth it?
Breeze through border control.
From Duke to the Duke.
That's the next album.
So we always knew that you were a bit of a Southern girl at the end of the day, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we were there for, I think, probably 12 weeks after my birth. But,
so you could barely tell the accent anymore.
Yeah. I was going to ask what your kind of favorite barbecue style of North Carolina was.
I don't know anything about barbecue. I had some grilled oysters at the Minetta Tavern a couple of weeks ago, and I was told that they are also big in North Carolina. So, and I go on Street View every now and then and look at the address where I was, born, or the first place I ever lived, and expect to feel something, but I feel nothing.
We were celebrating because I'm at my parents' house right now, and we were celebrating my dad's birthday last night, and they were trying to kind of talk about memories of childhood, and I have zero, like I barely remember high school. And I'm only 40 years old, and I had no trauma. I'm not blocking anything out. I had an idyllic childhood to the point where I have guilt about it, and I don't know why I can't remember it or feel anything about it. I don't know why I'm in this.
Are you asking me?
And we're sort of looking for you to sort of diagnose him, if you don't mind. Do you have strong memories of what life was like in high school and in elementary school and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't finish high school, sadly, but I remember why I didn't finish high school very well.
Sure, I remember that. I remember that as well.
No, Chris, I'm the same way as you, and I've never wondered why either. I blame it on the drug use.
But Chris, when does your memory start, as it were? Like, what's the furthest back you can go and get nostalgic? Like last year?
Yeah, I mean, I wish. Unfortunately, I think it all kind of starts with like when I began to get into like punk and hardcore, and like early middle school is when I really am like, oh yeah, I remember going to my friend's house and hearing this thing, or I remember going here and here. But kind of before that, like in elementary school, good luck.
So when life got cool. From then on,
I don't require these memories anymore. I'm different now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know if life got cool. I definitely thought it did.
You just needed like a medium. My friend Jed said he sat next to a girl at dinner last week who referred to her mother as an artist without a medium, and I love that. And maybe this was your childhood.
Yeah,
you were just an artist without a medium.
I was. I just had a lot of bad 7-inch records, and I was kind of finding myself still.
I'm obsessed with that phrase because it's. I don't know. It tickles me. It's really funny. Calling your mum that, of all things. Anyway.
Because that means that you yourself, the child, is the work of art.
Are the medium. Yeah. You are the medium. Yeah.
To be abused mentally and physically.
That's right.
You mentioned body dysmorphia earlier, and we don't need to get into the details of it, but what are your thoughts on fellow musician and artiste Grimes and her sort of using that as a medium of art herself, perhaps? What do you think?
I don't really spend very long thinking about Grimes. Are you saying she addresses it in her music, or when she's appearing as herself?
I guess just sort of how how Kanye West now is using the fashion world as his canvas to do whatever trickery and 5D chess or whatever he thinks he's doing.
Yeah,
one could wager or argue that Grimes is using body manipulation and plastic surgery. Not so much because she wants to look a certain way, but more so like as a weird kind of
I see. Yeah.
art medium, or like shining a mirror onto ourselves or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's always had kind of an alien thing going. She was very ethereal looking always before. I guess I'm more interested in maybe even the Real Housewives version of body dysmorphia, which is like this can't talk about it. Getting loads of surgery, definitely not well, but telling someone that they look really great.
And when you say you're into that, do you mean for amusement?
No, I think I relate to that more than being like, I want to become an alien and manipulate my body. I feel like Grimes, in doing that, presumably she has more control over her body or some agency that she's able to say, oh, I can manipulate X, Y, and Z. But I identify more with like, I don't know, these women who are in just like a quiet prison of never really being sure how you look, but knowing that something needs fixing at all times and not really being sure what.
Wow, that sums it up quite well, actually.
I don't know.
Something that I feel like a lot of people are suffering from every day.
I'm spinning out right now because I think you just cracked my muffin.
Your personal muffin? Is that even a phrase?
That's a phrase that I've learned, recently. But I think that
cracking.
You've just cracked my muffin. I guess you just cracked my scone for listeners across the pond. But I love that turn of phrase, Chris. Well done.
I learned it from one of the guys on the Joe Budden podcast.
I'm out.
Sorry to tell you that, Jason, but I just feel like that's a not knowing what is wrong but wanting to fix it is is absolutely what I'm doing when I'm destroying myself with exercise multiple times a day.
Oh, and that's a real thing. I feel like I've been through every iteration of like punishing the body, knowingly or unknowingly. But it's,
if you punish it hard enough, then you don't have to really think, you know.
Of course. Or you kind of don't have to have a body for a minute. You can just like, I don't know, you can just be like a head in a jar. No, I mean, I deal with that whole thing relatively privately. I'm like very candid in talking about it and write about it a lot on my silly little blog. But wherever possible, I hate to be photographed, and I really don't like my face being out there. Because I'm just torture myself over it.
But you kind of know it's part of the job to an extent, and you play ball when necessary, but you don't like it.
I don't like it, and you'd be amazed at how often you can just actively not be seen, especially as a painter.
Yeah. I don't know what you look like.
Yeah, I
looked on your Instagram. I have no idea what you look like.
It's almost a kind of vanity in a way, like of not wanting to be seen to that extent, But I knew, like, for the New York Times piece, like they said, we're actually not going to do the piece if you're not photographed. So
yeah,
I was like, bitch, you got to put your body dysmorphia aside for an afternoon. Suck it up. But
body dysmorphia, go sit down over there. Mommy has to get her picture taken.
Yeah, and then it came right back. It was just doing push-ups, as they say in AA or NA. So I try and avoid it at all costs, and I am mystified by especially fellow female visual artists who'll get photographed at any opportunity, because I'm like, you don't need to do that, but also go off.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine.
You never need to do it, but somehow the world tells us that it helps.
Yeah, maybe they like it, and maybe it does help on some level. You know, maybe I'm naive about it, but it would not help me within. So
yeah,
I personally don't do it, and I mean, I'll paint pictures of myself sometimes, but that's like
how do you feel about the sound of your own voice?
I forget how deep it is sometimes, and I'm like, oh shit. But then I remember I was like mistaken for my dad a lot as a child on the phone.
I find it quite relaxing, actually.
Yeah.
I love cigarettes. I love cigarettes.
Yeah, but I mean, I smoke all the time. My voice sounds fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, no. My voice was like this. It's always been like this, and I come from a family of very deep voiced women, so it's clearly built in.
It's a blessing. What's your brand of cigarettes?
When I'm in the US, I'll smoke those really thin menthol things, Capris or Virginia Slims, and I don't know why. But here I roll tobacco, and it's a brand called Amber Leaf. And it's fantastic.
You a morning or an evening smoker? A little bit of both.
I'm all day.
All day.
It's my favorite. It's all I've got left.
Look, that's what I say about the treadmill. I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe dessert.
Sober people are keeping the cigarette industry alive.
I mean, I'm trying.
Single-handedly.
I'm trying. I've never bothered with the vape stuff. I just can't.
Smart.
No. But I exercise enough, and I just about break even. I'm sure at some point my body will be like, you have to choose, but not right now.
What kind of exercise are we doing over there? Because that's not part of the culture, really. You know,
we are biking everywhere.
Okay.
It's giving biking.
It's giving cyclists. It's giving two wheels. It's going. Yeah. Okay.
We're giving a saddle, and we're giving commuting.
London's a little bit of a scary place to ride a bicycle around, isn't it?
Oh, it's terrifying. You have to have a death wish. It's key.
Luckily you do.
Luckily I do. And I not only do I have a death wish, but I also enjoy there are some very serious cyclist men who are always clad in lycra, and they have all of the accoutrements and the weird clip-in shoes.
Chris, what's the word for those types of people?
No, you mean cyclist, Jason? Do I have a detrimental term?
Yeah, no, there's a derogatory term for those types of cycling guys who have bikes that cost 10,000 pounds.
Oh, well, usually I call them fake exercisers because they're usually 50 pounds overweight, and they bike 100 miles to eat a donut. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Makes sense. I mean, we would say all the gear, no idea. That's what that seems to be.
All the gear and no idea.
Yeah, and I like to race them. There's a really steep hill coming up to my apartment when I get back from the studio, and I love to race them.
Oh, sorry, I found it. It's called It's called a mammal, which is an acronym for middle-aged man in lycra.
Mammal, yeah.
That's good. So you're biking a lot as a mode of transportation, but also exercise.
Sometimes I'll do the treadmill if I'm feeling like a little bit gross, and especially my studio gets extremely cold in the winter, so I'll just do a quick 3 minutes just to warm up.
Hold on. Are you saying that you have a treadmill in your studio?
Yes.
Oh wow, this is very cool.
It's a Peloton tread.
Okay.
It's disgusting.
No, they're very nice. I like the dial system, and it did kill a child, and they had to discontinue it. But you're still with us. Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, it killed a child.
Or I did read that and I repressed it.
Don't play stupid with us, Izzy. You know exactly what you did to that kid.
It wasn't a huge story maybe over there, but yeah, a kid died. They had to They kind of stopped making them for a little while. It's fine now.
Holy shit!
Let's blame the child here. You know, it's not Peloton's fault.
One of his little Tom Brown shoelaces probably got caught in the motor.
Exactly.
Who knows?
We don't hold children accountable enough, and
we're putting our foot down today. We're putting our foot down.
It's time. I mean, thank God I'm not having kids, so I can keep the treadmill.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good. If you prioritize exercise over everything else, then the treadmill stays. Kids never making an entrance.
Yeah. No, I bought the treadmill. Panicked when I quit smoking. I lasted 9 weeks, and I was not myself for a single day of those 9 weeks. But I did get a lot of use out of that treadmill. And now it kind of sits there just for special occasions.
If I walked into a studio where painting was taking place and I also saw a treadmill, I would be very excited.
Honey, I'm home.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's a very nice juxtaposition of the artist and the athlete, you know?
I mean, I keep the treadmill in this little it's like a little alcove that is slightly hidden. It's not like right in the middle. Like I don't just treadmill and then look at all my paintings at the same time. But
it's in the gym. You can just say that. It's in the gym.
Yeah, area. And it's actually in the gym area. So near the kettlebells in my studio. No, I'm a bit ashamed of it because it's like eating disordery, and it reminds me of how not far I've come in some ways. That I still insist on. It's punishy.
Yeah,
it's weird, and it's like me trying to make up for smoking so many cigarettes, which itself is punishy, and it just I don't know. It all compounds.
I see it differently, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well, it sounds like you're in the pink cloud of exercise where it's really serving you.
Or he just likes to be punished.
Or you like to be punished.
The pink cloud has lasted a long time, so I don't know how pink it is still. But yeah, I mean, I just think that investing in quality gear is important, and that's what you've done, and that's what I want to kind of.
But not music equipment.
Yeah, no, that's dork shit.
Yeah, and if you want, I can show you a couple brochures on a nice new digital audio interface.
Well, I was brutally love bombed by a musician earlier in the year, and somehow, as part of the whole thing, he convinced me to buy a bunch of like an old German microphone and like a really fancy interface and a preamp, which I'd never heard of.
Oh, you don't need a fucking preamp. This guy bamboozled you.
I know what an amp is, but I don't know what a preamp is. Is it like pre-cum?
Is this
in so many ways? Yeah, it is. I guess
it's fine, but it's equally potent.
Is this someone we know?
Who? Yeah, did Skrillex talk you into the Neumann mic?
Yeah.
It was Skrillex. It was Ed Sheeran. No.
Ed is very persuasive. He talked me right into that $11,000 German microphone.
He's persuasive, but he's toxic. He will love bomb you and then abandon you in Los Angeles. No, maybe I don't want to.
No, but I'm saying, was it somebody that you would believe because of their accomplishments as an artist?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand.
No. It was a very legit source.
Were you able to trade some of your artwork with Fortet to get this gear, or how did it work? That laugh means we're getting closer.
That's so funny. No, Fortet.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right. Look, thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you for joining us today, Issy. We had a blast talking to you.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was our pleasure. And music is where people find music, I imagine.
Yeah. Go watch that video on YouTube. Listen to it on Spotify and Apple Music.
The song is called Debt, as in the national debt.
And you also have a video for another song directed by Lena Dunham, starring Hari Neff, which
True.
Both of those people have been on the show as well, so it's all in the family.
Friend of the show.
Guilty. Yeah.
So you can watch that 1 second.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's always going to be there. That's available. But the debt is like, I don't know, as a something that I fucking paid for myself. Just watch that.
For the simple fact that it came out of your own pocket, let's watch that first.
Yeah, and I would love to know if people think I would have been sued.
Okay.
By Hasbro as someone who was on Sony and making absolutely no waves at all in the music world with that label. And I'd love, if there are some fine legal minds.
We'll post a video and I'll do an Instagram poll on my stories and I'll say only lawyers respond to this, and then we'll get a pretty good answer. It's been a real pleasure, Izzy. Thank you for taking the time.
Of course. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Later.